If a little green is good, more is even better. Now, back to Green is Good with John Shegerian and Mike Brady.
Welcome to Green is Good, and we're so honored today to have on the phone with us Michael Robinson. He's the Vice President of Environment, Energy, and Safety Policy of the legendary General Motors Company. Welcome to Green is Good, Mike Robinson.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Glad to be with you.
Hey, Mike, we're so honored to have you today, and we say that with really true respect because, you know, what Mike and I have learned in our journey over the last 3 years on Green is Good is that when companies like yours really make changes and move into the world of sustainability, the needle really moves. So we're so excited today to have you on, Mike, and to be talking about all the great things green that you're doing at GM. What do you do? I mean, your role is a big role as Vice President of Energy and Environment and Safety Policy at GM. What are your true responsibilities that are under that heading?
You know, it sounds like an impressive title, John, but really the gist of it is it's everything about sustainability. I've got a lot of responsibility for a lot of the major policy decisions, as you say, in the environment and energy area. But within that overall umbrella, we've got a lot of activity going on within the company, and we've got legions and legions of people that are working on sustainability issues every day with respect to our facilities, of course, and also our vehicles. So part of my job is really to help create a culture where that is sort of embedded into the way we operate in everything we do, and that is really the exciting part of the job, is to sort of unleash the talent that we have both at our plants and in our engineering organization and our purchasing organization throughout the company. We have literally hundreds of thousands of employees, and what I've learned in this job is that the generation of engineers that are and just average employees that are coming up through the organization now have grown up with sustainability as sort of a core value, and it really does create opportunities for us as a company.
You know, Mike, what we learn with such great, and like I said earlier at the top of the show, legendary brands like yours, there's so much to do. How do you choose? Like, how do you prioritize and then message that to the thousands of employees you have so you could decide which issues to tackle first, and then which ones are you tackling first?
You know, it really starts for us with sort of keeping it simple, if you will. We have some core initiatives that we decided as a matter of leadership we needed to tackle. So when you look at our vehicles, for instance, everything we do right now is about finding ways to match up advanced technologies with what customers need and provide value there. At our plants, everything we do is about not only building quality products, but doing it in a way that creates a sustainable business model from the standpoint of what kind of energy we use, how much energy we use, how much water we use, how much waste we have. Wow. And it's really a completely integrated story. We literally have a strategy board that I'm a part of that meets on a monthly basis that talks about strategic sustainability issues, environment and energy issues. And it's some of the top leadership of the company. We meet every month. We talk about how we're doing against our goals. And that's how we're able to achieve, I think, some of the things that we've set in motion here from the standpoint of the major objectives. For instance, landfill-free plants. We've got over 150 manufacturing facilities worldwide, and we set a goal that by the end of 2010, at least half of those plants or more would be landfill-free. We've overachieved against that target, and we're going to set new targets to be even more aggressive in that area. But that means at each of these facilities, some of which are assembly plants, powertrain facilities that build engines or transmissions, the first time you or any of your listeners takes a bag of trash to the curb on trash day, you've just taken more to a landfill than any of these facilities. And that's, to us,
wow,
a testament to the people we have working with us at the plants and also our suppliers. This is a team sport, and it's really been a rewarding exercise for us all to be part of. And so you set sort of high level objectives, and then you sort of unleash the organization to figure out creative ways to get that done.
So energy efficiency, resource preservation, greener vehicles, and as you just talked about, waste reduction, landfill-free facilities. Talk about energy, since energy cuts both ways, both in your plants and also in making greener cars. Talk about what you're doing to make your facilities more energy efficient. Then let's segue into the greener vehicles that our listeners want to buy and enjoy that GM produces.
Sure, glad to, John. The fact of life for us is that if we reduce the amount of energy, not only are we doing the right thing for the environment, we're saving money, right?
Right.
Which allows us to translate that into lower costs for our customers, and so it's a win-win from the standpoint of doing the right thing and being being a good steward of the environment, but also delivering products that our customers can afford. And from the standpoint of how we go about this, we've got a team of folks that are just relentlessly looking at energy options. We use more renewables than virtually anybody in manufacturing right now. We use more landfill gas than anybody else we know of. We use wind, we use solar, we use hydro, and we make the business cases one at a time, and the landscape changes over time in terms of what the best options might be. But that's a relentless pursuit. And then, of course, just the reduction in the amount of energy we need to build a car. A car is an incredibly complex thing to build. I'm absolutely amazed every time I go through our own plants and watch the operations and talk to the folks that are doing these jobs at just how incredibly complicated and sophisticated this business is. Yet, because of our size, when we make decisions that allow for a savings of, a fraction of an amount of energy per vehicle, we can have a huge impact in reducing the amount of energy used overall and reducing the amount of impact on the environment. So when we set goals in 2005 to reduce the amount of energy we use, which we did do, and within a 5-year period, basically reduced, by 40% the amount of energy we're using in our plants. And these are normalized data. It's not just because we went through what we had to go through a few years ago. So these are pretty incredible numbers, and really just a matter of focus for the organization. And we have support through, it's not just Robinson's sustainability team. This is an enterprise that includes manufacturing, engineering, purchasing. Like I said, everybody's fully into the game and totally supportive of what we have going on here. So, consequently, that translates into accomplishing goals that are pretty tough when you look at them on paper. But I'm pretty proud of what we've accomplished. The other side of it is the vehicles side of the story. I will tell you that we are in a much better position than we were just a few years ago from the standpoint of delivering fuel economy across the board in every segment. We've got a much more balanced portfolio of products. We have products, I think, that will appeal to the vast majority of our buyers, both here and abroad, and that makes a difference. People, especially in today's climate, with the fuel prices being what they are more sensitive than ever to the cost of a fill-up, and we have products that'll meet their needs from subcompacts right through the truck market. So, that's another part of the equation that we're pretty happy about.
Mike, you've been at GM since 1984, and you have then a great perspective because of your longevity there. How long have you had this title, Vice President of Energy, Environment, Energy, and Safety Policy? And how do you get your employees to not only talk a good talk, but obviously this is a DNA issue and a cultural issue at GM. How do you get them to walk the great walk that you guys are on?
I try not to hold them back, John. It's incredible. I have been there 26 years, going on 27 years, and I've worked in a number of different capacities. I've been in this assignment for about a year and a half, and prior to that, I had worked in this area with the folks that had some responsibility in this area for about 10 years. So I didn't walk into it as a newcomer, but I had a lot of familiarity with a lot of our operations. I knew our past practices, and I knew what the opportunities were, quite frankly, as we cleared through the challenges we had back in 2009 and moved forward. So I did have some perspective about where we'd been and where we had an opportunity to go. I'll give you an example of just how great an opportunity this is from the standpoint of people.
Okay.
I did a web chat on sustainability issues not too long ago, and it came at a time when it wasn't. I would say it was one of those times when we knew people were going to be getting ready for holidays, and so they might have other things on their mind. We did a web chat and talked about everything that people wanted to talk about. And we had over 5,000 GM employees tie into this conversation. And I was absolutely, and that's globally, and I was absolutely amazed that there was that much interest, that much involvement, great questions, great ideas, some of which we've implemented since then. And it just was, to me, a data point, if you will, about just how involved our people are. And if we unleash them to come forward with the ideas that they're capable of, boy, we can accomplish some really, really great things.
That is just great. So let's talk about, Mike, the some of the cars. Talk about what right now is some of the new GM models that are more energy efficient, and what's in the pipeline.
I'll start with the vehicle that everybody seems to be talking about, and we're happy for it, and that's the Volt. This was a vehicle that we took from concept to production in about a 3-year period of time, and that would be tough for even a conventional internal combustion vehicle. But to talk about this technology, which is a battery electric vehicle with extended range capability, it's just been a tremendous success so far. It's gotten a lot of attention, and the thing I'm happiest about is when I get somebody into the vehicle that hasn't driven it before, and they make certain assumptions about what they can expect. They are absolutely blown away with the performance of the vehicle, how it handles, how it drives, how quickly it accelerates, how much it drives like a real performance car, and at the same time, delivers about 40 miles of range, depending on the weather and the driving conditions and everything else, on pure battery electric. And if they need more, they've got it in terms of gas power generator that drives the electric drive system. So we're pretty excited about it, and we've had a number of opportunities to display the product to both policy leaders and just consumers. We had a electric drive a meeting here last week in Washington. We had just beaucoup people that could not wait to get inside the vehicle, crawl around it, and drive it. We use the Volt as an opportunity to explain where we're going with advanced technology, but it's not just about the Volt. Some of the same technology that we've used in that vehicle, you're going to start to see variations of in other vehicles, like even the Buick LaCrosse is going to have a system next year that we call eAssist, and it's going to take a LaCrosse from 25 miles per gallon on the highway to 37 miles per gallon on the highway. It's not going to be a plug-in, but it is going to have some of the technology capabilities of the Volt system embedded in it so that you get that kind of mileage. Same for the Regal, same for the next generation Malibu. We're learning through the Volt program a lot about what we can deliver to customers at maybe a less of an expense than a pure battery electric, but still deliver some of the values. So we're very excited about where the technology is taking us, as long as we can do it in ways that are cost-effective for our customers, because ultimately they decide who wins and loses in the marketplace, right?
Yeah, and and that's a great segue into cost effectiveness. We talk about, Mike and I talk about a lot, Mike, on the show, the 3 tenets of sustainability: people, planet, and profits. And for those of our listeners who just joined us, we've got Mike Robinson on now, the Vice President of Environment, Energy, and Safety at General Motors. We're going to go into the big question now. How has sustainability really help General Motors, the great General Motors, become a stronger company with regards to bottom line and efficiencies? Please lay out that for our listeners, because everyone's always excited to hear how it doesn't cost more to be green. It actually can save you to be green.
Yeah, I'll give you two stories on that, John. One is the most fundamental is that just even in a short period of time, we can demonstrate the value to the organization in increased revenue. We've taken, through the reductions in water use at our facilities worldwide, reduction of energy, and through the recycling activities. I mean, just in recycling, we've demonstrated a $2.5 billion savings. That's billion with a B, savings, and which flows right to the bottom line.
Wow.
And again, not only is it the responsible thing to do from a stewardship standpoint, it flows right to the bottom line of the business. And if you want to talk about an easy sell in the hard-nosed world of manufacturing and engineering, talk about a number like that, and people get very excited when you can demonstrate that kind of value. The other thing I'd tell you is, even in less obvious cases, you can demonstrate that at least in many cases it's cost neutral, if not a money maker, to do some pretty extraordinary things on the recycling front. And we've done some pretty extraordinary things because of our experience on recycling. We've gotten into some things that people might not find obvious. We got involved, as I think you guys know, with some of the recycling associated with the Gulf oil disaster with the spill last year.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that. That's a fascinating story.
Well, and I'd like to take credit for the idea, but I will tell you, it's just another example of ideas sort of coming up through the organization from a lot of the folks we have working on recycling day to day. And this is one of those examples where one of our folks who's got a lot of recycling experience said, I think through our experience working on recycling oil within the plant, we know how we could probably help these guys instead of sending these oil-soaked booms to a landfill, which is literally where they were going. We got involved and figured out a way, with the great help of our suppliers, to convince the folks that were responsible for these booms that they could be put to better use in one of our recycling programs, and we did do that. We literally bought 100+ miles of oil-soaked booms from the Gulf of Mexico.
Wow. And
with our suppliers have turned those into car parts. Basically, the black plastic air deflectors and air dams underneath the hood of a Volt are made with these recycled materials, these resins, that instead of using virgin resin that haven't ever been used before, we were able to take these plastic resins that are inside these booms and turn them into constructively use them to turn them into recycled car parts. And we were able to do that on a cost-neutral basis. It doesn't cost us any more than if we were using brand-new virgin resin. So it's just an example of the creativity of the folks. And so we saved 100+ miles of booms going to a landfill that would have taken thousands of years to decompose, and we feel pretty good about that.
As well you should, Mike, and you're that's a living example of what John has. He's kind of coined the term urban mining, and that sure sounds like it. Rather than going out and going through the production of brand new virgin material, using what is there. One other thing that I thought was fascinating, learning this on your website too, was you are so committed at a DNA level of recycling and reusing and repurposing things there within your plant that you've taken paint sludge and turned that into plastic shipping crates to hold some of the cruise engine parts.
Yep. And the examples are endless. That's a great one. We've used packaging materials from some of our plants and reused the packaging material and turned them into headliner material for some of our products. They're basically sound dampening material. It's all transparent or not even seen by the customer, but it works well, it's cost effective, and it's a great use of recycled material. In the average plant that we have, more than 90% is recycled. In the plants that have achieved zero landfill, we're more like 96, 97% recycled or reused materials. It's just an incredibly efficient operation. And the great part, to your point, Mike, is it's part of the DNA. It's part of the fabric of the organization at this point. We're constantly looking for new ideas. We're constantly asking ourselves, what more can we do? But we've really reached the point where it's just standard practice. It doesn't require any great sales job on my part. It's actually humbling to see all the ideas that people are able to bubble up in the organization, expecting that someone's going to listen, which is what you want. I mean, that's the goal, is to have the creativity of thousands of people, not just a handful that have the title of sustainability people.
You know, Mike, kudos to you and the folks at GM. You know, I'm on my iPad right here, and I'm on your website. Mike's on his laptop here in the studio, and this GM Beyond Now, it's more than just building cars and trucks today. It's just a gorgeous and transparent website with so many great stories here. And for our listeners that have their iPads, laptops, or their desktops in front of them, it's www.generalmotors.posterous.com/. It is just a beautiful website. So whoever built it there under your direction, you know, hats off. It is just gorgeous, and it's just very inspirational.
Well, thank you, John. But there's more we're going to be doing. We're going to become, as an organization, increasingly more transparent, and I think do a better job of telling the world what we're working on, what our goals are, and then being accountable for that. And I think a lot of what we've done has sort of been done without either seeking or maybe getting a lot of public notice. And we're not doing this for credit, but I really want to make sure we're constantly moving in that direction of transparency, working with outside groups that maybe have a different perspective than the homegrown point of view might be without that kind of influence. I'll give you an example of something we did recently that included a lot of outside perspective that I really think helped us do a better job.
Sure.
Chevrolet wanted to get involved in what we're going to call the Chevrolet Carbon Reduction Program. This initiative was a Chevrolet investment to say, you know, we'll take a finite amount of money and try to find programs, projects at the community level where we can make an impact, reduce the carbon footprint of various community activities that might be short of cash, unable to do some of the things that we know would make a difference. And we started down one path. We were wise enough to involve a number of stakeholders that were able to give us, and when I say stakeholders, I'm talking about people not affiliated with GM. They had no financial interest in GM, but they were environmental groups, academics, NGOs, that came in and gave us some perspective about how to think about these projects, and I really think led us to a much better program than we might have come up with on our own. And, you know, we've started to announce the projects that are going to start receiving these funds, and we're really excited about it. It's going to make a difference in the communities. A lot of the stuff we're talking about doing is what I would call low-hanging fruit because, you know, either the community center or the school system or the housing development just didn't have the funds to do the things we know can make a huge difference, whether it's conservation or even weatherizing. And these are all important things. I actually hope that this becomes sort of a idea incubator for us, and we learn for ourselves some things that we might not be doing ourselves at the plant level that we can adopt ourselves. But in any event, this is just another exciting example of ways that we can get out and do more with the resources we have and make a difference.
You know, Mike, unfortunately, we're winding down now to the last 30 or 40 seconds. I want you to just share any last bits that you want, and we're going to ask you to come back and continue the GM story on another day because it is just amazing. If you'd like to share any last thoughts with our listeners, both in the United States and around the world, as we sign off, we'd love to give the stage to you as we are going to be signing off now.
Well, I appreciate it, John and Mike. I really do. The thing about the company that I'd hope people will take away from this is that this is a brand new company. We've got a long history, but we are absolutely focused on the customer. I mean, everything we do is about how do we get better, how do we make our products better, how do we resonate better with today's generation of people, and I think we're taking some pretty aggressive steps to do that. And again, I think the Volt is just a sort of in and of itself an important product, but a preview of things to come from this company, and I'm really, really excited about it. It's a great place to be right now.
You know, Mike, we're so honored that you came on today. And for all listeners, again, one last time, please go to General Motors' great green part of their website, generalmotors.posterous.com, posterous.com. See what they're doing beyond now. And Mike, again, thank you for coming on our show. You know, General Motors, beyond now, please support this iconic and amazing American brand. And Mike Robinson, you are a great green leader and truly living proof that green is good.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.